Hello, and welcome to the Perfectionist Recovery mini class. My name is Dara Thomason, and I am a professional quilter turned life coach. And I help quilters learn how to be more productive, to be happier, to truly change their life in the way that they want to live. We overcome so many of those obstacles that feel like it's impossible to get ahead in the kind of life that you want to have. When I was teaching quilting, I would always joke with the ladies that I'm the president of the Perfectionist Recovery Program. After every class or conversation, people would say, "Is that for real? Because I need that class." So I went to the life coach school and I started coaching women full time. I was able to take a week off work. I wrote the Perfectionist Recovery Program because I had so much experience in understanding what was going on. And I understood now why I had so much perfectionism and how it affects so many of our fellow quilters and everyone in general. So, in this mini class, you can expect that we are finally going to look at why are we not being as healthy, as happy, as emotionally secure as we want to be. As we look at this concept through this lens, your eyes are going to be opened, and I am so excited to be showing it to you. In this class, we're going to talk about this perfectionism problem and how we can truly create the life we want. With life coaching, I didn't really know what a life coach was. As I have become one since 2020, becoming certified, I really understand how the brain works and how we can rewire our brain and our physical body to create new systems, habits, and ways of living. You're going to see this picture of the iceberg. And what that has to do with it is that 95% of our thoughts are subconscious. Just like when you're learning how to drive a car or learning how to tie your shoes or learning how to do anything new, it's kind of clunky and it doesn't feel very easy. But our brains are super efficient. So they're constantly saying, oh, this looks like a pattern. We should put this into a habit. If we don't have to think about it, it's so much easier. So at one point, we moved 1 kilometer away. We used to live on Ardell Road or Ardell Crescent, and we moved to Alton Crescent. And it was only a kilometer away. So on autopilot, I would just turn left and then I would just keep going. And I didn't turn right to get to my new house. We have to stop these subconscious patterns to create new healthy ones. And that is when this is something that's going to be so surprising for you as we look at perfectionism because it is so automatic. We don't even know it's happening. So, in this class, you can expect four things. We're going to have an honest conversation about what perfectionism is. I personally did not understand it. A lot of you might be saying, well, no, better is done than perfect. I'm not a perfectionist. But until you take the quiz and actually slow down and see what perfectionism is, you will get some really good insight. We're going to learn how to recognize it. We're going to get to the root of the issue and then be able to see how to create permanent change. When you go to Wikipedia or any dictionary, you're going to get a similar definition of perfectionism. Perfectionism is a compulsively and unceasingly towards an unattainable goal. Another way of looking at perfectionism is to measure your self worth by productivity and accomplishments to the point that some tendencies even lead to distraction. If you're getting to the end of the day and you're not feeling like you have accomplished as much, then you haven't accomplished as much, you start beating yourself up, you start feeling really bad about yourself, and you can never really look at all the good that you accomplished. Another way of looking at perfectionism is that you put a lot of pressure on yourself to achieve unrealistic goals that inevitably lead to disappointment. So, how many of you accomplish things, but if they're not done exactly how you wanted them, you just think it was a waste? Another idea of looking at perfectionism is that you tend to be a harsh critic of yourself, your work, and your failure to meet your own expectations. So, how does that feel? Can you kind of relate to some of those? Now, I have this quiz and I'm going to take you over to it. If you go to my website, you can go to the top right hand corner. It says website homepage. And then you scroll down Right here is the 12-step perfectionist recovery program. So we're going to do this quiz together. So the first, we're going to just ask the question, there are no rooms for mistakes. So in the quiz, when you do it online, you will be able to answer that. The next question is, you should have a very specific manner in which things should be done. You have an all or nothing approach. It's either you do everything well or you don't do it at all. Everything in between is a no-go. Is that you? It's all about the end result. You don't care what happens in between or what it takes to achieve the goal. You just want to ensure that the end result is attained. Otherwise, you'd feel annoyed or even devastated. Is that you? And how much is that you? You are extremely hard on yourself. It doesn't matter if it's due to your fault or just one small thing. You're always quick to beat yourself up and feel extremely bad about a mistake for a long, long time. You become depressed when you don't achieve your goals. You often mull over outcomes that don't turn out as envisioned. You have extremely high standards. And now there's nothing wrong with having high standards, but listen to this next part. At one point, you become held back by these standards as you procrastinate and stop working on your goals out of fear that you can't reach them. I call this failing ahead of time. Success is never enough. Even when you achieve X, you are rarely content with the status quo and you keep wanting to see more and better things. Another question, you procrastinate just to do something at the right moment. You are constantly waiting for the right moment to work on your goals. The next question, you constantly spot mistakes when others don't see any. While this can mean that you're very detail oriented, perfectionists often spot issues from a mile away. Sometimes they even are self-imagined. This is the last question. You often spend copious amounts of time to perfect something. Okay. So once you submit that, you get the results here. Now we're going to go back to knowledge is power. The more that you can understand, the more that you can get leeway. Now, I wonder about this. How does this show up for you? Do you try new things? Do you always start fresh? Do you make promises you know you can't keep? You beat yourself up, you put yourself down, you feel like an imposter, I feel lots of shame. This is actually not really your fault. A lot of us have instincts. So just like animals have instincts, like bears, for example, they know they have to bulk up and then hibernate. That is their instinct. Also, deers, when they're scared, they freeze. Those are their survival instincts. Now, humans, we have those also. My ancestors came from Norway, Sweden, and England. A lot of them came across the plains and they settled in Alberta, which is Western Canada, down in the States. And so they actually they either had covered wagons or hand carts and they traveled in companies of other people because that's what was safe. So in the wilderness with wolves and coyotes and buffaloes and bears and all these different like dangers like weather and these different risks, in order for them to survive, they needed to stay together. And when they stayed together, they would get the protection from each other. And every night they would go in a circle and different people would take turns keeping guard. I have some stories of my ancestors going across. Your survival instinct is can't make other people mad or angry because they will kick me out of the tribe. They will kick me out and I would be on my own and could die very quickly with these elements, with like all the different problems. And so we as humans, we are wired to survive. When you think about yourself as a little girl, what happened? You had parents that were in charge of you. Those parents or guardians made sure you had the essentials, food, water, clothing, being able to go to school. If you did not get their approval, get kicked out. And that was really scary. Instinctually, we decided I have to belong to this tribe. I have to make sure that no matter what happens, they take care of me. Even if they don't take care of me very well, at least I will have a home. And so perfectionism, right? I don't want to disappoint them. I want them to approve of me. So if I'm perfect, then what happens? They can't disapprove of me. Another survival strategy you might not have thought of was procrastination. If I procrastinate and my brother does something or someone else does something, then I can see what kind of consequence they have, and then I'll be safe. Another one that you probably never thought of was people pleasing. If I don't get them mad at me, or if I can keep them in my good graces, then I'll be safe. These are all survival strategies to help us to belong to the tribe. This was shocking to me when I learned this. How does perfectionism affect your life? How does that affect you? When you get clear on where you are, you can move forward with your life. Just like with an eye exam and you get glasses to help you or surgery, it gives you a diagnosis. This quiz is super helpful. The next thing I need to share with you is this part of our body called the vagus nerve. Okay, we're going to get a little sciencey. I used to be a grade 5 and 6 science teacher. So we have this vagus nerve. It's also known as the vagal nerves. And the main nerves are they go to our sympathetic nervous system and our parasympathetic nervous system. This system controls certain body parts such as digestion, heart rate, immune system. These function as are these functions are involuntary, meaning you can't consciously control them. So, when you're really nervous and you have to go pee, or if you're really anxious about something, your heart just keeps beating and you think it's going to beat out of your chest, or you start sweating, it's because it's all connected. So, the vagus nerve goes from our brain to our ending parts. And what it does is it looks at how our condition is going. So, if we can't maybe get constipated, or if we get the runs, it's because our digestion is affected. Our blood pressure, breathing, immune system, our mood, mucus and saliva production, our skin, if we pop out of zits, right? Or maybe we start stuttering if we're really upset, or we start yelling if we're really upset, or maybe our taste is off, or we have to, like I said, have to go pee. So this is actually our nervous system is communicating from our brain all the way through our body. Our hormones are a big part of that because our hormones are like little cars that drive around and tell us how things are going. So, our hormones are the ones that need to be regulated for us to really have a healthy emotional and physical life. What happens when you feel like you're in danger? So, we have instincts, and there's 4 things that we do when we are in danger: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So we're going to talk about if you're in that fight, you tend to get really angry and you shout and muscles are clenching and you blame other people and you get defensive. Maybe you attack other people, gossip, or you retaliate. Is that something you do? Some of us are fighters. What about flight? Some of us, we just like, we're out of here. Just get me out of here. I can't handle it. Avoid, you procrastinate, you scroll, you take time off work, you don't try new things, you don't monitor your thoughts, and you let old unproductive thoughts come in. Do you find yourself scrolling a lot, eating a lot, or putting things off and making lots of excuses? Then we have the freeze. Some of us just feel like we are in so much danger and we just can't cope. So we numb out. And what do we numb out by? Some of us numb out by food, gambling, alcohol, shopping, overdoing it. Maybe we work really hard, right? Because we don't want to think. Maybe we don't sleep very much because we don't want to be that alert. What about shrinking and like, oh, I'm not good enough, or blaming or shaming ourselves? What about hiding? Like even hiding behind other people, like, oh, I can't do that. Or even your culture, oh, I can't do that because I'm a woman, or whatever it is. Detaching from your body. So that's when maybe alcohol or pornography or over shopping, scrolling, inaction. You keep saying you're going to do something and you never do. And then the fourth one is new. It's new to this fight, flight, and freeze. It's called fawn. And fawn is another way of saying people pleasing. So you comply, you appease others, you do what they want. You don't take your needs into consideration. You don't try new things. You don't collect data and say, what works for me? So I was driving today for my son's basketball, and there was a boy I drove, and he lives half an hour one way. So then, of course, half an hour back. And I knew I needed to do this class. And I also want to go watch my son's basketball game online. He's playing in Arizona. So I was finally able to say, hey, do you think your mom could meet me so that I could actually have time to do what I need to do? Because I've been driving since 8. Now, with perfectionism, remember, this is a survival strategy we use. So, how to create safety when in perceived danger. We need to learn how to calm our nervous system. We need to understand what perfectionism is and articulate this is a moment in my life where I'm turning to perfectionism because I'm not sure how to move forward or I'm afraid of failing. You need to be able to say that people say words and it doesn't have to affect you. So people can say what they want, but you don't have to react to them. We can create boundaries and say, actually, when you come to my door unannounced, I'm not going to answer the door. Right? We can start creating those kinds of like honoring ourselves and an understanding about perfectionism and how that plays out. Now, when we go from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system, we really want to think about how are we treating ourselves. Now, the sympathetic nervous system is there to say attention, danger. And so when we can just slow down and pay attention to that and say, is that really danger or is that just perceived danger? And so the sympathetic nervous system is the ability to think about our thinking. And that's how humans have evolved and been able to rise above. So I want to just help you understand that the nervous system, when you understand the nervous system, it's going to help you to create the kind of life that you want. Now, I want to just close off. Stop sharing my screen. So another part about perfectionism that's going to be a really good tell is if you keep saying, I should do this or I should do that. The last thing I'm going to say about perfectionism that's helpful is when someone has perfectionist tendencies, when they try something new. So let's say we try a new quilt, pet technique, or free motion quilting, and it doesn't go how we want it to go. A perfectionist will say, I'm a terrible person. I'm deficient. I'm awful. I'm less than because what they tried didn't work out how they wanted. They blame themselves. Whereas a non perfectionist would say, oh, I thought it was this way, but clearly it's not. What's next? When you can go to that kind of approach, you can eliminate the danger of trying new things. All right. This was, of course, kind of a crash mini class. I want to just say that you get the Perfectionist Recovery book, which is amazing. You're welcome. You can actually order an online copy, it'll be mailed to you. So you get that for free and you can have that digital copy forever. Attached to it is a 12-week Perfectionist Recovery class that I did with. You can watch that for 2 weeks and you can really look at what does that look like. So that is a gift from me to you. So again, I'm Dara Thomason. I am the life coach for quilters. I help quilters and anyone who resonates with me. If you have physical weight you want to lose, I got you. If you have emotional weight, if you have trauma, if you have any of those kinds of those things keeping you from living the life you want, I have incredible tools to go into your brain that connect with your body and then help create new pathways, new habits. And so we can get rid of the old ones, we can say goodbye, and we can create new ones. I cannot wait to help you. My membership is incredible. I have so many women making incredible changes in their life. If you are interested in joining, you can check out my website. If you want to talk to me, get some free coaching and kind of see what that's all about and we're a good fit, you can book a consult. That would be great to talk to you. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.